Now you've studied, you got your in-service training, you've graduated, we're going into the workplace. I feel like we're not prepared for the workplace, honestly. I feel
I
like you
agree.
just come with your paper and then you're lucky enough to say, yes, you have the job, but you don't know what to expect. You don't know how to interact. You don't know to say, what they're giving me, is this enough? Can I negotiate? Can I not? You don't know anything.
No.
So, what can you say to someone starting their first job tomorrow?
And just saying that as well, we can't always go to our parents because they were in a completely different era.
Exactly,
I,
exactly.
I've seen, and Katlego and myself were talking about it, that I experienced the same thing. I remember I worked as a debtors clerk at Pick and Pay.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked so hard and I took stuff home and whatever else. And after a while, I was upset because
No
they're
one
not
was.
appreciating everything that I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So I agree with you fully. So again, this may be personal opinions, and I'd love to hear yours as well. But I think the first thing we need to realize is the world does not owe us something. The world does not owe us something. They are buying your time from you, the 8 hours. Whoever your direct line manager is or your management is, also has work to do. They do not have time to pat you on the back the whole time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think one of the biggest things, if I had to give advice to myself as an 18-year-old that went into the workplace, or a 20-year-old, whatever, I started working when I was 16. And, the biggest advice, nobody's going to pat you on the back. And that doesn't mean you're bad.
Yeah.
But actually, you measure whether you're good if nobody gives you a written warning.
Yeah.
And another thing is, there will always be somebody that's got issues. I think so much more in today's world and time because depression is the illness of the day. And bipolar was something that you might have that bipolar working with you that
And you don't
today
know.
he's
Yeah.
nice and tomorrow
tomorrow
he's
is
not.
something else. Yeah.
And that's a difficult line to draw to know. When is it against you as a person and when is it just
This person
circumstances?
is just them.
So again, I think it's good to have some form of a mentor or counselor where you can phone somebody that you can pick up the phone and say, Tia, this is happening to me. Is this okay? And somebody that knows the Basic Condition of Employment Act, that knows how does the CCMA work? When is it the right time to give you advice to fight this round? But sometimes we can fight the round and win the round and lose the battle.
Yeah,
Yes, you
because
can.
now after this, your whole work experience is going to be something
Absolutely.
else.
You might be able to go to HR and the grievance procedure might take you through that and everything. But then everybody, and now that the procedure says they may not victimize you,
but
but
they will,
everybody just
in a way.
avoids you
Yeah.
and you're feeling isolated. So have that brother, uncle, mentor, counselor, career counselor, somebody that you know that knows the legislation that you can phone. What happened to this girl? Her manager is the type that swears. That's who she is. And she took it very personally, so much so that she resigned the job with a 10,000 Rand a month paycheck
Oh, shame.
to go back and work for her mother. Whereas there was otherwise, she did go to HR, and HR did go through the processes, and then this manager was giving her this cold shoulder, absolutely avoiding her, just doing any communication in writing to cover herself. Whereas if she had the right advice from the beginning,
She would have been
somebody
told.
might have said to her, you know what, is she only swearing at you,
Or
or does she
everybody
swear
else?
at everybody? And it turns out that that's her way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we're young, we don't know that. We might be used to a family where we've got a very supporting mom and dad, and all of a sudden we're in this big, big world. Do you call people Mutani if you're Afrikaner? Do you call them ma'am or sir? Do you call them on their names?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We're
that-
all so different.
Yeah, that will depend on the culture of the company. Ask, ma'am, what would you prefer I call you? Only advice I would have given to myself. Don't be self-entitled. The world does not owe you anything. And if they want to give you the filing to do, that's what juniors do. Even if you've got your engineering degree or your nursing degree, you're going to, or whatever, And that's, I think, something that we tend to think, okay, now I've got this degree.
I'm just gonna
walking in there.
already set, yeah.
And that artisan or that junior staff nurse or whatever the case may be, we sort of have this attitude. And I'm so sorry to say, but I've seen it now. I said, they call it the millennials, and I'm not somebody that wants to stereotype. But I think it's social media all over. We tend to, we have rights.
Yeah.
We have rights, political rights. And I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying you don't have rights. But if I have two people, with
One with this attitude.
young boys working with me, and the one has got this attitude of entitlement. He doesn't respect the cleaner.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest...
Yeah.
I'm full of advice today. But greet the cleaner with respect.
Yeah.
That's a lady that's actually on her knees cleaning the floors to provide for her children. Greet the secretary. If you want to be promoted, know the secretary. She's the one where you get through to the boss.
That's a tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Respect people and they will respect you.
Yeah.
That's my... It's not... The definition of competency
Okay.
is the ability to apply knowledge and skills. I've seen something through the years, again and again and again. I can get somebody that doesn't have the background at all. I can always send them on a course and I can teach them. I can teach them that knowledge and skills. But personal skills, I'd rather take the person with the right attitude and train them up. And take the person with the degree
With the rotten personal skills.
it's me, mine, I. And I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. There's how familiar are you with this whole concept of emotional intelligence?
A bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Me too, just a little bit. But I think it's something, there's a lot of courses out there.
Yeah.
I'm almost 50 years old. Now I've just given away my age. And I do it because things change.
Yeah.
Culture change, circumstances change. Today, the culture from 3 years ago, pre-COVID, has changed.
Already.
Pre-COVID, most of my training that I did was classroom-based training. Now people don't want to get out of the slippers anymore. You have to...
Do it for it, yeah.
So all I'm saying is, attitude will determine your altitude. That's a good starting point.
Yeah.
And do courses on emotional intelligence.
Yeah, and get yourself...
And culture. If you're going to work in a company or going to an area that's predominantly Xhosa or predominantly the Chinese, for instance. I worked with a company recently that's working in South Africa, but they have to appoint a certain amount of learners for these learnership programs. They sleep in the afternoon. It's a cultural thing. All of them has some mattress or something there. Between 1 and 3, not on a set time, it's acceptable for them to sleep. If you disturb them during the sleep, it's going to be an issue.
It's chaos.
If you book the meeting in that time, it's chaos. Another thing, for instance, with them, very hierarchy. That the CEO doesn't necessarily speak to
a junior.
the lower levels. Know the culture.
Yeah, because if you're working in that environment where the culture is like that and you come in as a junior and the CEO passes you, you might pick an offense, not knowing that, no man, he does this with every junior, that's how he is. Now you take it personally because you don't know.
You said it so well. And again, wow, you guys have the internet. I used to pick a fight with my boyfriend, which is now my husband for 30 years, and then I had to go to the library to go and find the facts. Not picking a fight, but we always have this interesting discussions. And then I had to go to the library to find out, and he was always right. I'll never tell him that. But anyway, but you guys have it at the press of a few buttons. It's there. What's the company? What's the culture? What's their history? I found out yesterday Cipla that makes the pharmaceuticals is an Indian company. I never knew that. And all their history around it and research on the company that you're going. I gave so much on this topic now. And there's so much more.
Yeah. when you are in the work environment, whether you're starting or you've been there for a while, what do you think should be the motivation? What should be your, yes, we all go there for money, right, as a main thing, but in my opinion, I sometimes feel like money for some people might be too great a motivation than it should be. What about things like growing meaningful, developing meaningful relationships, your personal growth, learning more? What do you think should be
You've
your
said
aim?
it so well. You've said it so well. I saw something on YouTube. I don't know when. But anyway, this professor has this glass bottle. And he's got sand and he's got the big rocks.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've
Yeah,
seen it
the
before.
pebbles and all.
The
Yeah.
pebbles.
Yeah.
So he tells them to first put in the sand. And they put in the sand. And then he says, okay, put in the pebbles. But everything doesn't want to fit. And he says, okay, now take out the sand. Put in the pebbles first. These big pebbles, these rocks.
Yeah.
And then put in the sand. And everything fits. And I think that's where, and I'm talking from personal mistakes, we live to work rather than work to live.
Okay.
And whether you're younger or older, yes, we build our career, but it should still be, what's the big things? Your relationship with your significant other. You have to build on that in your house. Your work shouldn't be everything. And I think looking at, yes, work is very scarce. So whatever you can have, you'll take.
Yeah.
But if you are lucky enough to have an option between two companies, look for the company that's socially responsible. I'm going to give an example here. I had a manager. I actually want to mention her name. Her name was Lee. Such a wow. Anyway, so one night, I was doing project management, 2 o'clock at night. I was still up because I was very stressed about this project, and I sent the email to her. The next morning, she called me into her office, but she was quite abrupt, and she told me, I never, ever want to have emails from you again 2 o'clock at the night. And my first thought was, really? Really?
No, you're not impressed that I was working at
I'm
2.
putting all of this in, and I'm really, don't you appreciate me? And I was standing there, okay, yes, with that face.
Yeah.
And then she said to me, because if you are up at 2 o'clock at night, you're not sleeping enough. That means tomorrow you won't be functioning well. Secondly, when do you have time for your husband and your kids? If you are not healthy and not, you'll be present, but you won't be able to work.
Yeah.
So rather give me the 8 hours that we
Paying
expect
for.
from you and do it good than think that you. So basically, she said to me, if you're working after hours, that's your problem because you can't manage your time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my answer to you is, I think personal growth, and not just academically, it's as a person we grow. As a youngster, I always say, even if you pay me R1 million, although I'm thinking about it now, I don't want to be 20 anymore. If you think back on yourself, that's such an unsure time. Get your anchors, get your support, because you're going to need it. But get somebody that loves you enough, or cares enough of you, or that's adult enough to be able to tell, hey, don't take it personal. And she's right. You're not managing your time. You're not impressing somebody. So that was my experience.
Yeah.
If I could write a letter to myself at that age.
Yeah. I know it's a thing, it's a thing that people do nowadays, of always trying to push, always trying to show that, I can put in the extra hours and all of that. And you're saying it right, it's not healthy for you. And I think we have not been told enough, we have not been educated enough to say that's not what it's about. You need rest, you need to take care of yourself as well.
There is going to be
some time when
There's
you
a big
need to do
project.
that. But that cannot be your everyday thing, where every morning when we come to work, we know we're going to see an email from Thea from 10 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah, you're not impressing, and we think we do.
That's the thing.
To be there
That's
first
the
in the office and
misunderstanding.
to go there out last.
Yeah. And you didn't even do as much as the one who left at 4 or 3 or sooner than you.
Presenteeism is what they call it.
Yeah.
Or being there and being on your cell phone or on Facebook the whole time.
Exactly.
That's the biggest tip
Exactly.
I can give. Be there and be present.